Welcome to the next evolution in college football analysis. We created a groundbreaking algorithm that provides some of the most accurate and interesting insights into the sport. This is JBall. Hello and welcome to another episode of JBall. This is Jacob.
And this is Joseph.
And we are here today to dive into the numbers and take a closer look, a closer analysis at the JBall rating system, the numbers for the one and only Big 12 conference during the 2025 football season.
Yep, we're going into last season, and we're going to be looking through what our rating system has as the top 5 most efficient teams from last year.
And if you remember from watching episode 1, and if you haven't, please go and watch episode 1. But the whole idea of our rating system, right? We are not analyzing wins or losses. We are measuring efficiency. We're measuring how good of a football team you can be on your best day and how good you have been. So some of what you may see might be mildly controversial. We're not here to portray any particular opinions or bias at all. We let the numbers speak. We're proud of that.
Yep, and just to give quick background, like 10-second version, our rating system, it measures points scored per possession and points allowed per possession by your opponent, and adjusted for opponent strength. And it really just comes down to that.
Yeah. And it's, as far as we know, the only system out there for college football that does it, that measures it this way, which is why we're so excited about it. Well, alrighty. We ready to dive in?
Yep, let's go ahead. So
let's dive right in.
Our 5th most efficient team in the Big 12 this season, 26th overall in the country. Kind of surprising, with a 6-6 record, we have the Kansas State Wildcats.
Obligatory playing of the fight song.
Yep, so you look at the conference standings, they are there are ways down there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6,
and of course, by conference
7.
standings, we're looking at we're looking at wins and losses, and how that played out
within conference.
Mm-hmm.
So at least in conference play, they were tied for 7th. And only finished with a 6-6 record.
Mm-hmm.
Certainly there are teams that had a better record than them that were less efficient.
Yeah.
But we're going to get a little bit into why that is. So, like I said, the Wildcats went 6-6. They went 5-4 in conference play. They started the season, literally starting the whole college football season in Ireland. Yep. In what was at the time a ranked matchup against the Iowa State Cyclones. This was a conference game. It counted in the standings as a conference game, even though it was played halfway across the world. And the Wildcats lost their opener to Iowa State 24-21 on foreign soil. And then they come back the next week and they face an FCS team in North Dakota, and they do get their first win of the year, but it is 38-35.
Pretty close.
So not a great performance. Not definitely not what you would want as a Kansas State fan out of the gate, especially following that up the next week at home with a loss to Army. 24-21.
Now, to be fair, there are a lot of we'll say, nations around the world that have lost to the United States Army.
Okay, no, we're not going there. No, we're not going there. Next game, they go on the road and they play a non-conference conference game. So it's a game against a Big 12 opponent,
Mm-hmm.
but because it was previously scheduled as a non-conference game, it stays a non-conference game in terms of the standings. Again, this is part of why I think this rating system works, is that we don't differentiate like that. The rating system treats every game against an FBS opponent equally, be it a conference game or not. It will treat it the same. It will weigh for opponent strength, but
Hmm.
it doesn't look at labels of in conference or out of conference or any brands like that.
Yep. No brand recognition, no bias whatsoever.
Um, they did lose that game against Arizona on the road, 17-23. So starting out 1-3, not great, but then they do get a win back at home against UCF, 34-20.
Okay. A little bit more of a barrier there between points.
Yeah. They do lose a very close one on the road against Baylor, 34-35.
Yep.
Um,
Those are the worst ones to lose.
Yeah.
Those are the worst. 1 point.
They are able to get their footing the next week, beat TCU at home 41-28. Then they go on the road to play their biggest rival. I think this is their biggest rival. I don't actually know. Kansas.
It's got to be. Why would it not be? Why would it not be? In-state.
Let's assume that it is.
Yeah.
I would think it would be. And they win very big on the road, 42-17.
That's wonderful. Love those.
They do lose the next week to future conference champion and playoff team Texas Tech, 20-43. They get a bye week. Then they go on the road, beat Oklahoma State, who, by side note, in our rating system, was the least efficient Power 4 team in the country.
We're sorry, Cowboys fans. We let
which
the numbers talk.
I believe that their only win of the season was against an FCS opponent. So
I
1-11.
believe so. Yep.
Kansas State only wins that game 14-6.
So it's a win. Not impressive, but it's a win.
So again, you're like, okay, how are they looking so efficient in this system? I think this next game has a lot to do with it. They go on the road and they lose to Utah 51-47. Now, this was a game that Kansas State should have won.
They had it in the bag. I remember when this happened. They had that in the bag.
It was a total choke job, but within that specific game aside, scoring 47 against Utah.
Highly unusual.
Yeah,
it definitely broke the mold for the season.
Yeah, we'll get more into this once we look at Utah specifically. But this is definitely an outlier. So putting that many points against Utah, that's going to bump your score. I think that's what.
And our rating system doesn't factor this in, but that was in Salt Lake City.
Yeah.
Nonetheless. So especially remarkable in that case. We don't factor that in. We don't factor in your home field advantage into the rating to the numbers themselves. But very impressive. So credit to them, and that definitely boosted the numbers here for them.
Even though it was a loss. Add it to their list of close losses. Every loss they had was one possession, or with the exception of that game against Texas Tech.
Mm-hmm.
And then final game of the year, they do win on Senior Day, and they beat Colorado 24-14. So 6-6.
Got the win at the end of the year.
Yeah. So if you're wondering why they're so high, I think it does have to do with all of these close losses.
Yep.
Now, the close losses count the same as blowouts in the standings, and they should. You lost the game, but
wins matter.
Yeah, wins and losses matter, and we need to emphasize that as much as we can.
So,
but it within those wins and losses, if you put it all together, you can get a picture of what a team is capable of.
Yep.
So we're not saying that Kansas State had the 5th best season in the Big 12 last year. No, they went 6-6, probably a disappointing season given what they had expected. What we're saying is that they had the potential to be a top 25 team this year, and they definitely could have been.
They were close. They were 26.
Maybe should have
nationally
been
in our rating.
So I think what this says is that the skill and
the game plan, the
the
strategy.
it's there.
They're there.
But they underperformed.
Right. So there we go. Kansas
so-
State, you are
so-
the 5th most efficient football squad in the 2025
So-
season. So congratulations. Number 5.
Next team on our list did have a bit better of a season in terms of wins and losses. 24th overall in efficiency in the country, 4th in efficiency in the Big 12. We have the Arizona Wildcats.
The Arizona Wildcats.
Back-to-back Wildcats here.
Back to back. Maybe there's a strategy right there.
Be a
Wildcat.
I think that is, it's either Wildcat or Tiger is the most common mascot name in college football. So Arizona went 9-3 in the regular season, 6-3 in conference play,
which is very respectable.
Yeah, no,
I would classify that as a successful season. Getting 9 wins in and again, we're not looking the algorithm doesn't look at wins and losses, conference affiliation or anything, but on the surface here, 9-3, Big 12, I'll hand it to you.
Yeah,
that's a good season.
Yeah, I'd say so. They start the season big. At home. They beat Hawaii at home 40-6.
I love it.
That'll bump your score.
Those are great games.
And they beat FCS Weber State 48-3. Side note, again, I don't think we covered this in the last episode. FCS games are weighted.
I think we touched on it briefly in the last episode.
Just in
or maybe
case, I don't think
we did.
So in case we didn't, FCS games are not weighted as, or games against FCS opponents are not weighted as strongly as games against FBS opponents. Every game against an FBS opponent is weighted equally. Not in terms of we do adjust for opponent strength, but each one is counted as a full game.
And it's not to be as a source of bias at all. It's really to help to keep the numbers from getting inflated, given the fact that by and large, most FBS versus FCS matchups result in some kind of a blowout.
Yeah.
Usually. There are exceptions, but usually.
And you could lose to an FCS team and that still going to hurt you. And in fact, it will hurt you big time in our rating system if you do that. But a game like this where you beat an FCS school 48-3, like that's what you're expected to do. That should be treated more as the baseline than a special type of performance.
Mm-hmm.
And so, FCS opponents are weighted less heavily than FBS opponents.
Okay.
Yeah.
So with Arizona then.
But Arizona beats FCS Weber State 48-3. Then we have that conference game we talked about against Kansas State. This is the other side of that. So Arizona gets the win, 23-17. Off to a great start, but then they go on the road. They do lose big to Iowa State, 39-14.
That's very interesting. Iowa State beat both Kansas State and Arizona.
Yeah.
And yet, both Kansas State and Arizona in our rating system are ranked higher.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's because there are more games in the schedule.
There are more games in the schedule than just those 3.
Yeah.
But very, very interesting. And this is why it's important to not just look at the end of the season at, well, they beat them and they beat them, and thus, right?
Yeah.
I believe at one point you've called it people call it the circle of suck. You said
yes.
Yep.
Aside from teams that don't beat an FBS school like Oklahoma State,
we're so sorry,
sorry,
Oklahoma State fans.
If you don't include them and you include every team that wins at least one FBS game, you can draw a circle that shows this team beat this team, who beat this team, who beat this team.
And go all the way around.
You can show that every team is better than every other team in the country via just going linear wins and losses.
And thus, every team stinks.
Yes.
In theory, that way. So this goes to kind of break that a little bit.
Every team is the worst team in the country.
Can't just look at the end of
No,
the season and say
no.
they beat them and
Yeah.
they beat them.
No, so
Yep.
it doesn't. There is no transitive property for
There's
college football
no
wins.
college football colonialism here.
Yeah, no.
As that page, yeah.
Yeah, you don't. Yeah.
There's a certain social media page. We'll
Yeah.
let you guys go and find
Okay,
it. It's
yeah.
amusing, but anyway,
Yeah.
to go on.
Arizona, they get back on their feet next week. Big win at home against Oklahoma State, 41-13.
Yep.
They lose at home the next week against, at the time, was number 18 in the polls, although we don't care about polls. But BYU, lose to BYU 33-27 in double overtime. So very winnable game for Arizona.
Just barely got out of reach.
I think the fact that it was that close is part of why they're up this high.
Yeah. No doubt.
They go on the road next week, lose again at Houston, 31-28. Get a bye week, come back, go on the road, get a big win against Colorado, 52-17. Beat Kansas at home, 24-20. Beat Cincinnati on the road, 30-24. Beat Baylor at home, 41-17, and then finished the year on the road, beating their arch rival Arizona State, 23-7. So
some pretty good margins there.
Yeah. So in the games they won, they did
very well.
Usually it wasn't a close game when they won the game.
Yeah.
And then the games that they did lose, just strange loss against Iowa State. Doesn't make a whole lot of sense, but hey, that's why you play the game.
That's why you play.
That loss against BYU, which was very winnable, and then weird 3-point loss at Houston. Okay.
Yep.
So 9-3. They did play in the Holiday Bowl, which does not factor into our ratings. We don't count postseason games because
nor into the record here that we display. Which the record, again, if you didn't see episode 1, the record purely cosmetic here does not factor in whatsoever. Right. It's just for comparison.
Yeah, it's to show how well they are performing compared to what you might expect,
and to challenge your perception to say, "Oh, well, look at this. They're rated this high in our system, but the record says this." Head scratcher. But think about it. Yeah.
But to sum it all up, postseason play is weird in college football.
It is.
So we don't consider that usable data.
Nope.
So, but they did play a bowl game. They played in the Holiday Bowl, and they lost against SMU 24-19. So finished the season as a whole 9-4. Again, 6-3 in the Big 12. In the standings, they were tied for 4th in the conference. So, yep, that is our 4th most efficient team in the Big 12, the Arizona Wildcats.
Congratulations to you, Arizona fans. 4th most efficient team in the country last season. We'll see what happens this season.
Yeah.
A lot of potential here.
3rd most efficient team in the Big 12. Kind of a surprise, possibly, given that this team did play in the Big 12 title game. That would be the BYU Cougars.
Now, the 3rd most efficient team, and yet they played in the conference title game. Well, explain that a little bit.
Well, yeah, we'll see that they in the discussion around BYU, I heard the phrase "dark magic" thrown around a bit,
which is odd considering it's a religious institution.
Yeah, but we're not getting into that.
No, but
okay,
there you go.
They finished the regular season, and we are including the conference title games in the regular season. Those do factor into our rating.
Yep.
So, including the conference title game, they finished 11-2, 8-1 in conference play.
And if I'm not mistaken, the only losses they had were to the same team
Yep,
during the regular season
that
and in the
is
conference championship game.
that is correct. They started week 1. FCS opponent Portland State, big blowout win, 69-0.
Yeah.
Yep, that'll work.
It's numbers like those that explain exactly why we needed to adjust the weight of FCS matchups.
Yes,
Because that alone could pad you through a few games of maybe subpar performance.
Yeah,
in this rating system.
And BYU did end up being a good team, but
Yeah.
You don't necessarily know that from one game against an FCS
Yep.
opponent.
So true.
First FBS opponent at home, they play Stanford out of
the Stanford Cardinal.
Out of the ACC.
Very rich history in the ACC, that school.
A
proud, rich history.
That meme, what happened to the game I love? But they do beat Stanford at home 27-3. Okay, good win.
Good win.
On the road against East Carolina, they win 34-13.
Okay.
On the road against Colorado, and they do.
I remember this one. This was a nail biter.
Yes.
This was a nail biter.
Colorado maybe should have won this game, and if they do, I think their season goes a lot different.
Way different.
As for what actually happened, BYU did win this one 24-21.
By the skin of their teeth.
And this is when you start to hear that dark magic.
Somehow they find a way, just somehow. Yep.
Next week was a little less anticlimactic, but at home they beat West Virginia 38-24. On the road, they have that aforementioned double overtime win against Arizona, 33-27. So again, just eking out these wins. They play Utah at home, BYU's arch rival. They get the win in that game, 24-21, which is
a big boost.
Yeah, that again,
as you will see,
we're going to talk about that. Yeah, Utah. Yeah, holding Utah to that score is
having an efficient game against a team that is very efficient.
Yeah,
bodes very well in our rating system.
Yeah, that's the perfect way to put it. Actually, Utah is very efficient, and
if you can play
and
efficient,
BYU played maybe one of its most efficient games against them.
Yeah.
So, bump.
There you go.
On the road, they beat Iowa State 41-27. Undefeated at this point, have a bye week, and then they get their first loss of the season at Texas Tech, who again would go on to the playoff, 29-7.
Now, I think it is worth noting as well that particular margin of victory for Texas Tech, it was a win, but
a loss, you mean?
Or excuse me, no, I'm saying a win for Texas Tech, a loss for BYU.
Yeah.
But I'd say that margin a little bit smaller than Texas Tech normally had against opponents this season, which contributes a little bit to boosting the rank. Even though it was a loss on paper, our system doesn't look at wins and losses. It looks at the efficiency. So, I mean, obviously they weren't more efficient than Texas Tech during that game, but they were fairly efficient such that it helped boost their rating a little bit.
Yeah. I think, not to skip ahead here, but I think that there was some debate about BYU deserving to be in the playoff or not. They do end up right on the cusp.
Right on the cusp.
I think they were the second team out.
It was them and Notre Dame were the two teams that were just there that got left out.
Yeah, which Notre Dame is a different discussion.
That is a different discussion.
Get to later, but I think a big part of that, at least in the committee's eyes, was they said, well, you only played one good team all year, and that was Texas Tech, and you lost both times, so you don't get in.
A lot of brand bias.
As we're going to see here,
shallowly.
As we're going to see here, like BYU did beat a really good team in Utah, and I think that was heavily undervalued.
Yep. Now, don't be mistaken. According to our rating system, as you see here, 18th most efficient in the country. When
Yeah.
it comes down to it, they probably weren't deserving enough to be in the college football playoff, at least according to our
Yeah.
numbers.
No, I think the committee came to that conclusion for a different
For
reason.
a different reason, but the
For
outcome,
I would even say bad reasons.
bad reasons.
But it
wouldn't have changed.
I think we can agree with the outcome.
Yeah.
Back to BYU's schedule. After they lose to Texas Tech, they do come back home and just destroy TCU 44-13.
Got to get out that frustration.
Yep. On the road at Cincinnati, they get another win, 26-14. And then senior day at home, they beat UCF 41-21.
Another good one.
Yep, that qualifies them for the Big 12 title game, where they do worse than the first game against Texas Tech, and they lose. The first one was 29-7. The title game was 34-7, and yep, that's how you 11-2 in the regular season.
Yep.
And like we said, just missing out on the playoff. Yeah.
And so they end up in the postseason. Not that we don't factor anything in, but just for funsies. So they do end up in the postseason.
Yep,
I think it's the Pop-Tart Bowl.
Yep, they play in the Pop-Tarts Bowl.
Against Georgia Tech.
I hear there's a cult starting.
That stuff,
around
that was
the
fun.
Pop-Tarts Bowl.
We did watch that game. That was fun. I like Pop-Tarts. They're delicious.
BYU got the win in that game, 25-21 against Georgia Tech. I think
Good on them.
Think they were trying to, or the powers that be were trying to get Notre Dame to play in that game, and they said no. So,
and that's another reason why we can't reliably include postseason games into this rating system. When you have teams that are saying nah,
which by the way is new. It really hasn't been a
so
thing
new.
before.
The last few years,
I think it's a side effect of the expanded playoff.
Yep. It's playoff or bust for a lot of teams.
You know, whether that's a good thing or a bad thing, I can't say. But I can say that it makes the postseason extremely unreliable for gathering data.
Yep.
So,
and riddled with drama.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So, including postseason, BYU finishes 12-2. They are the third most efficient team in the Big 12 last season. Tied for first in the standings, runners-up in the conference title game, the BYU Cougars.
Great job, BYU. And kudos to the BYU fans. Congratulations on a great season. Definitely still some good things to come for that program.
I think so.
A lot of fairly dramatic things near the end of the season. I believe with some coaching maneuvers and some changes that happened there, but everything got locked down and things are looking pretty good. At least most of the pundits are in agreement that they could have a pretty good season ahead of them. We'll see see what happens. They got some potential.
We'll see.
We'll see. We'll be analyzing week by week this coming season.
We don't do preseason predictions.
We don't.
Because
there's no data.
It's creating bias unnecessarily before a game has even been played.
Absolutely is.
But moving right along, 11th overall in efficiency in the country.
And there's the shocker. Might be controversial.
Maybe, but second in efficiency in the Big 12, we have the Texas Tech Red Raiders. Texas Tech definitely had the best season in the Big 12 in terms of just results. They won the conference. They made the college football playoff, the only team from the Big 12 to do so. And they finished the regular season 12-1.
Yep.
And 8-1 in conference.
And that one loss was a bit of a surprise.
Yep.
Not a bit of a surprise. It was a big surprise.
Especially in retrospect.
Yeah.
That's why I think it's helpful to look at things after they've happened. a game may be an upset, and you might not see it until the end of the season.
Yeah.
I think that was
That's a fair analysis.
at least partially the case for this. But not to get ahead of ourselves, start the season off Texas Tech at home against FCS Arkansas Pine Bluff, and as expected, they win 67-7.
Nice.
Okay. First quote unquote real opponent, at least for our purposes, at home against Kent State. And
Okay.
the result is pretty much the same. They win 62-14. They host Oregon State, at the time 2-member Pac-12.
The mighty Pac-12.
The Pac-2.
They beat half the Pac-12
They did.
in one season.
They did.
It's impressive.
Well, hey, I didn't say what the result was yet, but yeah, they won. They won 45-14. Definitely their most impressive win of the season. They go on the road, and they beat Utah 34-10.
Oh yeah.
Which simply did not happen to Utah last year.
No one else.
No.
No one else.
BYU got the win, but
not at that margin.
By 3.
By 3.
And Texas Tech won by 24.
Yeah. Kudos to them. Fantastic.
They stay on the road. They beat Houston 35-11.
Yep.
Beat Kansas at home 42-17.
Ooh,
and then out of nowhere, they go on the road and they lose to Arizona State, who is not in our top 5 here.
Yeah.
26-22. Weird.
Real close margin there. Now,
weird.
If I'm not mistaken, I'm trying to remember. Was their quarterback out that week? There was a lot of discussion going on as to it was because of this, because of that.
I don't.
But
know,
we don't really care so much.
I don't know.
The system doesn't factor that in.
No, yeah. The thing is, like, the games happen when they happen,
and it's a team effort. You can't hinge everything on one single player. As important as a good quarterback is,
quarterback is probably the most important position in football, but yeah, at the same time,
you don't live or die. You shouldn't live or die.
And at the same time, I think overrated in terms of its importance. I think that
which is why it's so exciting when you see a non-quarterback win the Heisman.
Yeah.
Very rare.
Yeah. Side note here, like, do we really think that the best player in college football every single year just happens to be a quarterback?
You know, I would love someday an O-lineman.
Yeah, do you or I have any idea, or does anyone have any idea who the best player in college football is in a given season?
Fair enough to say that you could say the Heisman is the most popular among the journalists and such, but
like it's not like basketball or baseball where your individual contribution is very readily noticeable.
Yeah,
there's
so much happening at once on a football field.
As a fan, you're very focused on the ball and where it's
has
going.
The ball?
And
so
the quarterback has the ball every
Yep.
play, and so and then it's going to be some variation of quarterback, receivers, running backs who have the ball.
Whoever has holding the ball gets to hold it more often.
And then on the defensive side, they almost never have the ball. But okay. My point being,
we could go on. We could go on.
Why is the Heisman Trophy just quarterback? So why don't we just call it the Best Quarterback Award?
Best Quarterback Award.
And it wouldn't change anything. Oh, okay, I'm kidding. I love college football, but man, there are some things.
The Heisman is as fake as the Heisman house.
It's real to me.
It's real to you. It's real in our hearts.
Baker Mayfield lives there.
He lives there with his roommate, Tim Tebow.
Yeah. And the mascots.
And the mascots live there, too. All righty.
Okay. Texas Tech loses to Arizona State. They get their frustrations out the next week at home, beat up on Oklahoma State 42-0.
Oh,
Which,
I'm sorry again, Oklahoma State
that's
fans, but
that sums up the season for both teams, I think.
yeah, that was a really good. Yeah, I think you put it spot on there. That summarizes how the
yeah.
season went for both of these
Maybe
teams.
not an impressive win per se, but yeah.
Therapeutic nonetheless for Texas Tech, I'm sure.
On the road, they beat Kansas State 43-20. Come back home, and as we mentioned earlier, they beat BYU 29-7. Very impressive win. Next week, stay at home, beat UCF 48-9. You're noticing a pattern here.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
On the road, beat West Virginia 49-0. And then that,
like a broken record, man. Just one after the other.
That qualifies them for the Big 12 title game, which, as we said, they beat BYU again. 34-7. And they finish the regular season 12-1. They did, as one of the top 5
conference
champions, they automatically qualified for the playoff. They were also ranked 4th by the committee.
By the committee, right?
Not by us, but by the committee.
So
and they
questionable whether or not numbers were involved.
And here we go. If you want to look at Texas Tech's opponent in the playoff was number 5 Oregon.
I won't scroll up just so we don't give away our number 1 if you haven't deduced it by now.
Okay, no, but hold on. Who's right above Texas Tech? Because
right above Texas Tech.
Or
right above Texas Tech, we have Georgia.
Oh, okay.
That's not who they played.
I didn't. Okay, excuse me. We won't give it away, but
to say it's right there. Sorry. They're high up there.
Texas Tech lost to Oregon in the playoff 23-0.
To the Ducks.
So they had done to them what they did to everyone else.
Which made it that much more disappointing for them and really the whole Big 12.
It made the conference look really bad.
Yeah.
And if you're a Big 12 fan, you maybe are worried about what the conference's perception is going into.
It's not a good look to send your champion off to get walloped.
And especially with the ACC having a team make the title game. You want to, who the top 2 conferences are. If you're the Big 12 or the ACC, you're trying to lock down that third spot. And
this didn't help.
No.
This didn't help.
But I bring that up because, again, the playoff doesn't factor into our ratings here. But Texas Tech was overall 11th in the country. Oregon was 6th in efficiency. So even though the playoff committee said that Texas Tech was better,
was 4.
They said Texas Tech was better. Our rating says that Oregon was actually, at least by
the most efficient team,
by a bit of a margin, more efficient than Texas Tech,
and as such, they had the potential to be the much better team on the field, and they absolutely capitalized on that. They took advantage of that in the field, and we got what we got. So, but nonetheless,
really
good season from Texas Tech.
Really good season. Really disappointing ending, but that's
taking a conference
trophy. That's going to be the
case
for everyone except one team.
Good way to go.
So 12-2 overall.
The second most efficient team in the Big 12 the 2025 season on the JBall rating system. That goes to the Texas Tech Red Raiders. Congratulations, Texas Tech fans, on a wonderful season. It was a good one. Not quite the ending probably you were hoping for, but it was a good one. It's great to take home a conference championship trophy. So kudos to you, and also potentially good things to come this season. We'll keep an eye out.
But at the top
of the Big 12.
Yep. Number 8 overall in efficiency in the country. Number 1 in the Big 12. That would be the Utes of Utah.
Yeah. Crazy. Some people look at
Surprising?
this and would
Huh?
think, what? They weren't even in the conference championship game.
And they finished 14th in the
And they
AP
finished
poll.
in the AP poll, right? So,
Their CFP doesn't do postseason rankings, but
so needless to say, this might be a bit of a hot take. Some of you might see this and say, hey, you're crazy. We might be, okay? But again, no bias involved. Let's say whether or not our sanity is intact between you and I, okay? Numbers are saying the numbers are solid.
yeah,
The algorithm is doing its work here, and we let the algorithm chew through the season week by week, go through play by play, analyzing everything, and it turns out right at the end, the best, the most efficient team in the Big 12, the 2025 season, were the Utes from the University of Utah. Absolutely surprising when we saw it, but when you dig into it, makes sense.
mm-hmm.
Let's dive in.
They start their season on the road in the Rose Bowl against UCLA. And they get a big win, 43-10. Now, I think that this is doing more lifting in our rating than people might think. UCLA, not a particularly great team last year. They finished.
Let's go down here.
They finished 3-9. 3-6 in the Big Ten. So
I believe were they further down here? I'm curious as to where they are in our rating system.
UCLA.
Is it worth finding? You might be able to pull it up on your
Oh,
end
man,
faster than
it's-
I am. Is it
it's
further down?
78.
78. There we are. The Bruins of UCLA. 78th most efficient team in the country. 3-9.
Yeah.
For the regular season.
But let's say getting a big win like that against a team that
plays big teams all year long.
Yeah. Again, it's we don't want there's not brand bias
No
here,
brand bias.
but it's
The numbers don't lie. The Big Ten is stacked.
What it means is that UCLA plays a lot of very good teams over the season,
Mm-hmm.
and Utah did comparable to
Yep.
against UCLA to how these other good teams did.
Right.
And so that works its way into the math.
Yep.
Showing, hey, Utah passed at about the same level that these really good Big Ten teams did. So again, we're not saying UCLA is like some amazing team last year, but we're saying that we have that reference point.
They put up
to
big numbers
use.
against UCLA. So did a lot of other Big Ten teams that had very high efficiency ratings.
Yeah, and so that becomes a benchmark. Then it's like, okay, well, again, we don't care about in conference, out of conference. It's you have that benchmark to use, and that helps lift Utah up in the rating.
Yep.
Come back home, beat FCS Cal Poly 63-9.
Okay,
As
good win.
expected.
Yep.
Go on the road in the Why Is This Game Happening Bowl. They beat Wyoming on the road 31-6.
We're sorry, Wyoming fans, but has to be said.
Well, no, it's a Big 12 school going on the road to play a Mountain West school.
That's what I mean.
It's
It
weird.
has to be said. It's weird. It was probably contracted far ahead of time. But it happened. So
Yep.
there we are.
They lose their first Big 12 game at home, as we've covered, against Texas Tech, 34-10.
Yep.
So again, not great. Better than a lot of other teams did it against Texas Tech, but again, really not something to brag about. But then they do go on the road.
So then we have to wonder, say, well, hey, Texas Tech beat them pretty comfortably. Why then are they ranked so much higher in our system than Texas Tech?
It's because of the rest of the season.
The rest of the season.
Both Texas Tech and Utah played a lot of other games besides the one game they played against each other.
Yep.
And
Isn't that a novel idea, looking at the whole season in perspective?
Of course, it matters that Texas Tech beat Utah, and it ended up mattering a lot in the conference standings, as it should.
But that shouldn't be the
But
end-all, say-all,
but
and, well, they should be higher than them.
but but there are other games that happened, and you have to treat them all the same.
You gotta.
Um, again,
To get good usable data, or to use good usable data.
you depend on opponent strength, but you need to
Yeah.
treat each game the same.
Mm-hmm.
And when you do that, okay, well, they go on the road and they beat West Virginia 48-14. Okay, West
Nice.
Virginia not great, but a pretty good win. And then here's a big one at home against Arizona State, who, again, they had beaten Texas Tech.
Yep.
Utah.
They had an efficient game that
Yeah,
one.
Utah kills Arizona State 42-10. Now, again, we're not doing transitive property here of wins.
No, you say, oh, well,
but
Arizona State beat Texas Tech, and then Utah beat Texas Tech.
But Texas Tech
Or
had
no, other way around. Utah beat Arizona State. Texas Tech beat Utah. That's the circle of suck.
yes,
Again, we don't.
But
yeah.
But the point being that Texas Tech looked very inefficient against Arizona State, a team that, at least in our ratings, is not great.
No.
Whereas Utah did more or less what they should have done and put the hammer down, and they win by 32.
Yep.
Okay.
That'll do it.
Well, Utah goes on the road. They lose to their rival BYU 24-21. We've covered that
outlined,
game.
Yep.
But again, a close loss to a really good BYU team. It's certainly not, I wouldn't call it an inefficient game.
No. You were less efficient than your opponent was, but you still proved to be efficient in the process.
Yeah.
By the fact that you kept it as close as it was against that said efficient team. So
yeah.
So best case scenario, if you're going to lose a game, lose closely, and it's going to help better, of course.
Well,
in this system.
And not that they care what our rating says, but
no,
I'd say more that if you losing close games is an indicator of untapped potential, let's say.
I'd agree with that.
They get their frustration out the next week after losing the rivalry game. They go back home and they kill Colorado 53-7.
Oh.
Okay, so they're just piling on efficient games here.
Coach Prime. Poor Coach Prime and squad.
At home, again, beat Cincinnati 45-14.
Yep.
Go on the road, beat Baylor 55-28.
And we're noticing a pattern here. We see these scores in the 40s and the 50s.
Yeah, and
just
so
stacking it, absolutely stacking it.
It's an efficient team.
Yeah. They score and they keep the other team from scoring.
And I think there's a world where they, again, the results are what happened, but I think that there's a world where they beat Texas Tech and BYU.
For sure. And I mean, let's look here really quick. So if we look at the details of the numbers that we have here, and we'll go, I'll spend just a second highlighting these since this is the most efficient team according to our rating system in the Big 12 last season. If we look at the adjusted offense, we have 5.629 as the adjusted offensive rating at the end of the algorithm here. So Texas Tech, on the other hand, quite a big dip, 4.809. Whereas you have the teams between them also in the fives, but a pretty decent spread of well over 0.8.
Yeah, and just
so
to keep in mind here, this is points per possession compared to, well, adjusted for opponent and compared against the national average.
Yep.
And so 5.6. That's
they had a far more. They had a far more productive offense than, well, maybe not far more, but they had a noticeably more productive offense than Texas Tech did.
You're looking almost as efficient of scoring when you get the ball as you can.
Right. And then looking at the defense here, at your adjusted defense, and you want a team wants this to be as low as possible.
Yes.
to better buoy up your score here. And so we see Utah here has 1.08. Texas Tech did really good on defense, 0.628. But you see the difference here. Similarly, we're looking at about, what do we got? 0.8. So it kind of evens out there a little bit. But so really, I think at the end of the day, I probably came down to quality of opponents played, factoring in.
Yeah, and I think that that Arizona State game did
It hurt.
it hurt Texas Tech just a bit in our
Yep.
rating. And then you see here the cap.
Yep.
Utah was capped more than Texas Tech was, so more blowouts, but
More blowout wins. Yep.
blowout wins, which we try to filter out the blowout effect.
So you don't excessively pad for future low performance games.
Yeah, but even then, Utah 3.226, Texas Tech 3.072. So at least a noticeable difference.
Yep.
Maybe not a. I don't know that we can.
It's
call
not
it,
huge.
We can't call it a huge difference.
It's not. And the end of the day, like, I mean, they're still, I mean, both. I mean, Texas Tech's still a phenomenal team. They were great, and they're the 11th, according to our system, 11th best team in the country. So not terribly far behind. We're not talking a huge difference here, but there were some chances throughout the season where Utah was able to capitalize and Texas Tech wasn't able to. And, you know, that can be the deal breaker sometimes. A lot of times can be the deal breaker. So whether or not you capitalize on the opportunities presented to you.
Really quick to finish Utah's season. They beat Kansas State at home in a game we've covered, 51-47.
They really got
game
lucky
that
on that
they
one. Yeah.
should not have won, but they did.
And here's something
Credit to
interesting to
them.
think about. Yeah, so that how much higher would Utah be, I wonder, if they had a similar result against Kansas State? If they had similarly
they had played well,
blown them out, played well, right? If they had a similar, they could be up a few more spots here.
Probably doesn't change their place in the conversation.
No.
They really weren't in the conversation at this point. Unfairly, I would say.
Well, had they beaten Kansas State, they would have lost a tiebreaker to BYU on having both lost to Texas Tech.
Well, no, they did beat Kansas State.
Well, no, I'm saying, but they beat Kansas State. I'm saying, so with BYU being that they both lost to Texas Tech. So both Utah and BYU lost to Texas Tech, but within the tiebreaker system, they lost to BYU.
If you reverse the result of that game, then the title game becomes Texas Tech
and Utah. Yep.
And then who knows what happens in that?
Who knows?
Scenario.
That could have been a very entertaining title game. Could have been very close. Could have been. We'll never know.
We will never know.
Never know.
But, win the games in front of you,
Yep.
and this is, last game of the regular season, and they go on the road and they beat Kansas 31-21.
Okay. Not a blowout.
Nope. Their head coach, been there for a long time, Kyle Whittingham, then leaves the team before the bowl game to go take the head coaching job at Michigan.
Yep. Up at the big house.
And without their head coach, they do still play in the Las Vegas Bowl. Credit to them. And they get the win against Nebraska 44-22.
Yep.
So they finish overall 11-2.
Great season.
Very good season. And hey, Texas Tech, BYU, and Utah all finished with 2 losses.
Yep.
So
there you go. But
we'll see what happens this year.
So there's certainly some good things to come.
Coach.
They lost, so yeah, that's the big question mark in all of this, because he did have a great season, and barring a few adjustments, they could have had a way better season.
Now what?
But now what? We really have no idea, because you have the coaching staff that has essentially all of them, almost all of them have flown the roost and have taken off to Michigan. You have probably a decent handful of players and some recruits that follow the coaching staff that they like over to Michigan,
Or just went to another school.
or just went to another school because
because their
the
coach
coach is
left.
gone, and so who knows? We'll see what happens, but certainly there's potential there, and
Now there is
depending
one.
on how they do things, they could pick things right up and run with it, or it could be disastrous. We'll see.
I am going to ad-lib a little bit here. There's one more. Oh, well, I guess play their fight song one more time. They
Alrighty.
deserve it.
We'll give it to you. All right. So the most efficient team in the Big 12 for the 2025 season in the JBall rating system. Well, that prize goes to the Utes of the University of Utah. So congratulations to Utah fans. Probably didn't seem as good of a season as our rating system portrays it to be, but it was a good season. It was a good season. You had a good team, did some good things. Most efficient squad in the country.
Should have been in the playoff conversation.
Excuse me, not in the country, in the Big 12. But yeah, probably should have been.
Especially over some of these other teams we'll cover later.
Yeah.
But from other conferences, there are some. Most of the playoff field deserved to be there. There are some that definitely we feel did not. We will get to that later. But there is one team I do want to ad-lib here and talk about. They're not in our top 5 in the most efficient rankings, and yet at the end of the regular season, they were ranked 21st in the college football playoff ranking.
We have an honorary mention.
This is an honorable mention.
Joseph's honorable mention.
This is
all right.
The other Cougars at number 45 in the country.
Yep, right there.
The other Cougars of the University of Houston.
The University of Houston. So yeah,
and
polls. We talked about in the last episode how polls can be deceptive. This might be a good example of that.
I think it's safe to say we don't really like or care about polls.
Yeah.
Even if it is the playoff committee and they're the ones who get to select the field, nevertheless.
Well, a committee is exactly that. It's a committee. They're not analyzing anything per se. They could. They probably don't.
So,
but,
and Houston had a good season. I don't want to take away from that.
You have to win. They went 9-3.
They went 9-3 in the regular season, 6-3 in the Big 12. Their 3 losses were to Texas Tech, West Virginia, and TCU.
Okay, so West Virginia and TCU kind of gonna make you scratch your head a little bit, but the Texas Tech one that checks. They were beating almost everyone. So,
but it feels like after a certain point in the rankings, the committee just said, "Okay, well, who has the fewest losses?"
Yeah, just
and
who are the P4 teams that have only 3 losses? We'll just fill it in.
I'll run through it really quick. They beat Stephen F. Austin FCS 27-0. They beat in-city rival Rice 35-9. Beat Colorado 36-20. On the road, beat Oregon State 27-24 in overtime, a game Oregon State should have won. Another big choke job. Lose to Texas Tech, like everyone else, 35-11. Beat Oklahoma State 39-17. Beat Arizona 31-28. Beat Arizona State 24-16. Lose to West Virginia 35-45. Beat UCF 30-27.
Yeah, letting West Virginia put 45 up against you is not going to help.
No,
it's not going to help.
Lose to TCU 17-14. They beat Baylor 31-24 to end the regular season. So, good season, truly.
Yeah.
Winning 9
deserving
games
of
in the
20. You said 21st in the final.
In the final CFP rankings.
Yep.
And then they did make a bowl game. They played in the Texas Bowl in Houston at the Texans Stadium. Convenient for them.
Yeah.
And they do beat
I'd
LSU 38-35, although that doesn't count in our rating because postseason's weird.
Postseason's weird.
So they do the postseason rankings in the AP. They're number 22, and in the coaches poll they're number 19. So this
Polls are deceptive.
yeah. So I
We
I,
are
I
here to
only
tell you can't take those at
so
face value.
I'm only bringing them up to say that like maybe we should take rankings less seriously and view them as what they are. They're journalists voting.
Yeah.
Now, they're a journal. Now, they may be very knowledgeable about college football, and they may even know more about who's good and who's not than we do. But again, that's why this isn't based on what we think. This is based on the data. And based on the data, the polls and the rankings are not.
Yeah. And as
Um,
far as we know, we are the only ones that are using data in this way to come to the kind of conclusions that we are coming to. So
and
they don't have
what's
that access, and
yeah, and what's the CFP committee doing? We don't know.
we have no idea. It's a conference room with a closed door.
Except that they're doing what's always been done, which is voting on who the best team is.
Yeah.
And they don't even release a vote count, so we don't know how close their decisions are, but it's a vote. And I think we as fans should take their opinion less seriously. I know that's really hard to do when they determine the playoff field.
You want to be nice to them.
But and to be fair, they got a lot of the top teams right. But once you get out of the playoff range, I think that their opinion can more or less be discarded.
Yep. I'd have to agree.
But
I'd have to
anyway,
agree.
Still a good season for Houston.
Good season for Houston.
An okay season for the Big 12, given how it ended.
Yeah.
But
would be curious if Utah had gone in there into the playoff and squared off against a team like Oregon. Who knows?
they have experience against Oregon.
They do. They do. As former Pac-12, as former Pac-12 buddies.
Yeah.
They certainly could. Yeah, we'll never know. But
Nope.
certainly gives you some room to think, or put some ideas in your head to think about. As to, again, we want to challenge the way that you think about college football and the way you see your team and you see other teams. Don't just trust the polls, right? Each week, especially this coming season, each week the polls come out. Don't necessarily rely on the polls, and especially the further the season goes along and the more data that the algorithm has to chew through, to really sift through things, you'll get a more accurate picture, I think, from JBallRating.com than you're going to get from the AP poll and from the college football playoff poll. I definitely fair to say there. I'm wholeheartedly confident in saying that.
Yeah, I would agree.
Okay.
So that's our summary of the Big 12.
And again, one last time, we'll give a big round of applause to the most efficient team in the Big 12 for the 2025 season. Somewhat of a surprise to some, maybe not to others, maybe not to you University of Utah fans who are saying, I knew it. We were better than people thought. But the University of Utah, go Utes, you had a great season. Congratulations to you guys. We'll see how the coming season goes. And congratulations to all the teams that made it into the top 5 of the JBall ratings for the JBall rating for the Big 12 conference.
Yep.
We'll see how the rest of you guys do the rest of the season as well. Or excuse me, not the rest of the season, the upcoming season. We'll see how you guys do. And we'll go from there. So, okay, you want to send us out?
Yep. I am Joseph.
And I'm Jacob.
And this has been JBall.
This has been JBall. We'll catch you next time.